We all always admired their acting. Some actors and actresses have even crossed paths on the same set, starring in the same movies. But we couldn't even imagine that they just hate each other in real life. I'll tell you who they are in the next few minutes. When Marvel was hiring the main lead for Iron Man, several actors were considered for the role. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't the first choice. Against the wish of Marvel, who was reluctant to hire an actor with a history of drugs, he was hired anyway, thanks to Terrance Howard. Not many people know that Terrance Howard was the highest paid actor for the first film. He even took a pay cut of $1 million so that Downey Jr. could be hired. However, things changed after the film became a blockbuster. As he claimed, when the time came for Downey to repay the favor and bat for Howard when Marvel was renegotiating his contract for sequel, he alleges he ignored his plea for help. Howard was supposed to be paid $8 million, but Marvel wanted to pay him only $1 million. His role was allegedly cut short too. Rumor has it that Robert Downey personally insisted, who did not want to work with Howard.
I called Robbie and was like, "Look, man," leaving messages with his assistants. Called him at least 17 times that day and 21 the next, and finally left a message saying, "Look, man, I need the help that I gave you." Never heard from him. And guess who got the millions I was supposed to get? He got the whole franchise. So I've actually given him 100 million. Which ends up being a 100 million loss for me trying to look after somebody. But, to this day I would do the same thing. It's just my nature.
Ultimately, Howard lost the role to Cheadle and held a grudge against Downey. Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones are longtime rivals whose feud reportedly erupted on the set of their 1995 movie, Batman Forever, a flick which many DC Comics fans have since deemed as one of the worst films of its franchise. Joel Schumacher, who directed the motion picture, later came forward and admitted that the atmosphere on the set of his film was somewhat unbearable following the not-so-kind things Jones was said to have done to Carrey. Schumacher wouldn't elaborate on what exactly transpired on the set that made Jones such a difficult actor to work with, but for the fact that the director himself found the behavior unprofessional and less than appropriate, things must have been very bad. He wasn't kind to Jim. He did not act towards Jim the way an Oscar winner with a star on Hollywood Boulevard. There is a version that Jones likely came from Carrey, who had risen quickly to become a huge star, being the center of attention no matter the room he entered. In 2017, however, Carrey shared some insight into his feud with Jones, recalling the moment the two first crossed paths after being cast for Batman Forever. It all went down while Jones was having his dinner during a break from filming. The Bruce Almighty star decided to approach his co-star, but after seeing Jones' facial expression turn all serious on him, Carrey soon realized that filming alongside the award-winning actor for the remainder of their time on set was bound to be a difficult task. Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone's contentious relationship began years ago, when the two actors were set to star in 1974's The Lords of Flatbush. Gere was set to play protagonist Chico Tyrell, a part eventually played by actor Perry King. But Stallone and Gere didn't get off well, with one on-set incident resulting in Gere getting fired from the movie. Sylvester actually opened up about the Lord of Flatbush drama in an interview with Ain't It Cool, revealing that the incident actually involved Richard's lunch, and one particular moment that royally pissed off Sly, as he told it, that Richard, while improvising, grabbed Sylvester and got a little carried away, which was impossible to handle. And once their conflict turned into a fight. It happened when Richard had lunch and dripped mustard on Sly's leg, and Sylvester elbowed him on the head. The director had to make a choice. One had to leave, the other had to stay. Richard was given a pass, and he has a serious grudge against Sly to this day. While it may seem a bit silly that Richard Gere's departure from the movie was about a mustard stain, it seems it was the principle of it all that really bothered Sly. While Richard would ultimately have a long and prosperous career in Hollywood, it doesn't look like he and Stallone ever made up. So, what's the deal with Tyrese Gibson and James Franco? Apparently, Gibson was not happy with the commitment Franco, who famously gets really into it on set, gave when they co-starred in Annapolis in 2006. The naval drama sees Franco's character struggling through training, with the climax being a boxing tournament with his superior, played by Gibson. But apparently Franco did not hold back. In a 2007 interview with Elle, Tyrese Gibson recalled how the action scenes with his Annapolis co-star James Franco got a little too real. Gibson noted that, despite telling Franco to lighten up with his hits while practicing for their fight scene, the actor didn't pull any punches and really slugged him in the face several times. This got Gibson heated enough for the actor to say in a 2007 Playboy interview, "I never want to work with him again, and I'm sure he feels the same way. It felt very personal." Franco has tried to own up to the incident and even apologized to Gibson through various interviews. He has blamed himself for perhaps being too into his role in the film. You may not know it, but Channing Tatum is far from being the best friend of his former co-star Alec Pettyfer. Back when they played together in the movie Magic Mike, the two actors could not frame each other at all. It's true. Because Channing doesn't like me, and for many reasons, many of which are my fault, had thus entrusted the interpreter of Adam in 2015. He also explained part of the origin of the misunderstanding. "I was afraid to speak. I did my job and I would sit in a corner to listen to my music because my agents had berated me before. I had very little self-confidence. So I got a really bad reputation because everyone was saying, 'Alex doesn't talk because he thinks he's above others.' This is not true. I was only anxious to be myself." According to the words of Alec Pettyfer, his estrangement with Channing Tatum began when he rented a New York apartment that belonged to a friend of his co-star. After leaving him due to mold, the actor received a scathing message from his playing partner. "All of a sudden, I got a very negative email from Channing saying, 'Don't shit with my friends. You owe money. Pay what you owe, damn it. Don't be dumb.' I took it really badly, which I shouldn't have done. I responded to her email saying, 'I'm in terrible trouble right now. Can you respect that?' I was harassed for money during a period of mourning. In the end, I didn't pay, but I should have, even though I think he was looking for an excuse not to like me." In early 2013, it was revealed that Shia LaBeouf was leaving the Broadway play Orphans, co-starring Alec Baldwin, due to creative differences, according to Entertainment Weekly. But soon after LaBeouf left, it became clear that there was more to the story than a simple disagreement over artistic vision. In 2014, a year after Shia LaBeouf left Orphans, Alec Baldwin spoke about their feud. According to Baldwin, the first of their spats began on their first day together. Baldwin thought Shia LaBeouf seemed to have a prison mentality with him, to say the least, wherever he went. The Glengarry Glen Ross actor detailed how LaBeouf allegedly came to the set with lines already memorized. Baldwin recalled how the Fury star allegedly used his readiness to start a fight. "You could tell right away that he liked to argue," Baldwin recalled. And one day LaBeouf pounced on Alec in front of everybody. According to Alec, LaBeouf threatened to keep repeating Baldwin's lines if the actor didn't keep up with him. LaBeouf later corroborated Baldwin's story, saying he did it to intimidate Alec. As anyone who has seen a Ryan Reynolds interview will likely attest, he always comes across as the type of person who would get along with anyone. As it turns out, however, there is an iconic actor that Reynolds dislikes so much that he is unwilling to work with them in the future. And that would be his Blade Trinity co-star Wesley Snipes. Let's take a look at what brought these two together and pulled them apart. Prior to the release of Blade Trinity in 2004, there was a lot of conjecture in the press that the film was meant to spawn a new film franchise that would star Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel. In the years since, however, all of the discussion about Blade relates to reports of Wesley Snipes' childish behavior on set. Even though Wesley Snipes reportedly unloaded most of his ire on director David Goyer during the filming of Blade, the actor's co-stars weren't immune to his behavior. For example, Snipes reportedly referred to Ryan Reynolds as that cracker. On top of that, Patton Oswalt made it seem like Snipes avoided working with Reynolds whenever he could. A lot of the lines that Ryan Reynolds has were just a result of Wesley not being there. We would all just think of things for him to say, and then cut to Wesley's face not doing anything because that's all we could get from him. Many took the star's behavior with understanding, but Ryan Reynolds didn't. Ryan didn't put up with it and openly stated that this is no way to behave. The result was there was a fight. The director of the film, David Goyer, the following decision that the actors do not meet on the set. He made a new schedule according to form. Snipes Reynolds came to shoot on different days.